One Sneaker Nation. I'm here today with Mr. Demetrius Brown, aka ATL Kicks,
That's great.
holding it down for a long time, Atlanta native.
Absolutely.
For sure. So we're here to talk some kicks, bro. So introduce yourself, man. Let everybody know, your social media handle. Spell it for them out there so they can definitely give you that follow.
All right, that's bad. It's ATL Kicks, ATL KICKZ, Kicks on Instagram. That's about basically the only social media, outlet that I usually do.
Gotcha.
But I'm born and raised in Atlanta.
Right.
Except for 3 years I spent in Hawaii. My stepfather was in the Navy.
Must have been a hard life in Hawaii.
Oh man, it was treacherous. But nah, it was good, man. I mean, that was a wonderful experience, man. I really enjoyed it and everything, man.
Right.
But other than that, man, I've been in Atlanta all my life, man, and just really been a lover of sneakers and the culture and, all of the stuff that comes with the culture from back in the day, from, b-boying and graffiti and the actual gear that them cats would wear too, man. You know what I mean? But, yeah, absolutely, man. So, but I actually took a huge liking to, the sneakers itself, man. It was always what was on feet.
No
you know
doubt.
what I'm saying? And just the shell toes, Pumas, a lot of the stuff from then on, and just, all the way to forward, man.
I love it, man. I see, like on your social media, I guess your mantra is by the shoes, not the height.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, it's about the sneakers. It's not so much as just falling into the hype of the sneakers and what everybody else is creating for you to follow.
Right.
You're your own leader when it comes to what looks fly to you.
Amen.
You make it look fly. It's
Right.
not about what somebody else says look fly to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, there's certain guidelines that what fly is, but that's for a different day and time. But
Sure.
it starts with you. It's
Right.
not just about the hype itself. So you buy the sneakers and not the hype.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. That's a good outlook on, the whole community like that, man. It's very refreshing to hear that too. So so tell me a little bit about your collection and what you kind of get into sneaker wise.
My collection is real diverse, man. I'm about, not specifically about diversity, but I like all types of sneakers.
Right.
So I noticed, of course, a few years back, I've been into sneakers, I mean, since I was a kid, yay high. We couldn't afford it. It's the typical story from back in the day where your parents weren't willing to spend $100 on some Jordans at the time,
man.
and let me say $80 to $100 on some Jordans, because when Jordans first came out, it was about $80 from what I can recall.
Right.
But my mother wasn't willing to spend that much money on those sneakers, man. But it didn't stop the like and the drive and me understanding what was fly.
Wow.
To an extent from back in the day. So my collection definitely has a little bit of everything from, of course, Jordans, but all types of Nikes, from Air Max to Huaraches. My favorite silhouette, of course, is Huaraches, bro. You know what I mean?
Now tell me why that is.
Man, it's just the comfort of that sneaker. It was so so groundbreaking when Tinker came out with that design, man.
That sneaker was next level.
Absolutely, and just the silhouette itself, but for him, and it looked like nothing else at that time. But even to this day, man, of all the Huaraches that I got in my collection now, man, it's still, the comfort of that shoe is like no other.
Are we talking about the run or are we talking about the B-ball?
No, I have both. I have a little bit of both, man. I can. As a matter of fact, even the Air Trainer, the Huarache Air Trainers, I had those back in '93, '94 when they came out, man.
Yes.
But just the first Huarache itself, the runners,
Amazing pair, man. They had the scream green.
Mm-hmm.
What was another OG colorway?
Another OG colorway was, of course, it was like
I think it was the
hot pink, and I just recently bought those for the low. People sleeping on those. Got those for the low. Of course, the violet, the Persian violet, purple, black, and white. Caught those for the low too.
I mean, it was crazy when I first saw that sneaker, man. Back in the '90s, I was looking and I was like, I see Nike, I don't see no swoosh. And it's like, what's up with that material on that thing? It was kind of
neoprene.
Yeah. It was mind-boggling.
Absolutely.
That was a dope shoe, man.
I mean, it was to me, it was just next level.
Yeah.
And then for him to, I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but for him to take that particular silhouette and some of the design within that sneaker and then encompass that into the Jordan. And other sneakers that came along, in the basketball shoes. Everybody, if you were from that era, you remember the Michigan 5, the Fab 5, that had those Huaraches. And that was mind-blowing at the time.
Man, that sneaker, next level. Of course, I got the retro versions that
Right.
released a few years back.
Absolutely.
because I love those sneakers.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't. Well, my parents wouldn't buy those for me
Right,
back then.
right.
But you know, I made my own money, my own man. So
Right.
They mine.
And then
Lovely pairs, man. I'm
Man,
telling you, crazy
incredible
pairs.
pairs.
No doubt, no doubt. So, you know, we touched on Jordans a little bit, man. You know, let's talk about LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's compare it with Jordan a little bit here. So they've recently started retroing some of LeBron's earlier pairs.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that'll kind of hold up with respect to, you know, what, you know, Nike has been doing with JB? Do you think his will kind of go further or beyond what Jordan has accomplished with all these retros of his line?
I think it's gonna be difficult for him to do that because understanding what the Jordan brand and Jordan did for the culture itself was absolutely incredible.
Right.
And you think about 30 years later, he still garners that type of attention.
He's still affecting it.
He still affects it. You know what I mean? To this day.
Right.
I mean, they kind of died off, you know, let's say 10 years ago, they kind of died off. They played out, not played out completely, but the level of the hype was kind of, you know, a lot lower than what it is.
Well, I say it did fizzle out. There was a time when it fizzled out a
Right,
little bit.
right.
People, their fascination for it was
Right.
just, they were looking elsewhere.
Absolutely. Because after the 12, it kind of, you know, it kind of fizzled a little bit. The 12s are the last OG silhouette that I actually bought for Jordans back in the day.
Okay.
And then after that, of course, there was so many other brands that was out there that I was
Right,
kind of messing
right.
with. But as far as the LeBron line, of course, these kids of the next generation, couple generations, my kids' generation,
Sure.
they will possibly look at the LeBron era of today and have their own created nostalgia, so to speak, behind it. And it may create hype, but I doubt seriously if it'll ever. I don't think there'll ever be another shoe like Jordan.
You know, growing up, you know, we saw him play, we watched him play. Some of the tremendous games that he played and everything like that. We dealt at that time with a living legend.
Absolutely.
Who is now legendary.
Absolutely.
You know, his whole line is legendary.
Right.
You know, the kids of today, you know, your kids and whatnot, they're living with the legend of Michael Jordan.
Right.
Because they didn't really come up in that era. Their living legend is LeBron.
Right.
So it's really hard to say what that's going to be like.
Right.
You know, kind of coming down the road, but I have to agree with you. You know, LeBron will probably be their MJ, and it'll probably get the same attention that we've given
to
Michael
Jordan.
on, you know, those 1 through 13, 1 through 14,
Right.
whichever you want to say.
Right.
So
To an extent, but at the same time, the Jordan. Now don't get it twisted too. Let me back up a little.
All right.
But you know, I wasn't always just Jordan. Anyway, I was about the Jordan sneaker, but I was a Dominique guy. I'm from Atlanta.
Oh, come on, man.
So I was more of a Dominique guy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The human highlight fact. You know, and so that was my guy. But of course, I had to respect the game of Jordan.
Right.
He just, you know, Dominique couldn't dribble. I'm sorry. You know, he couldn't dribble. He could score. He could jump out the gym. He could dunk. You know.
Yes.
But at the same time, it was all about the shoe, and then also the marketing machine that they had behind Jordan. With Spike Lee,
You saying something.
come on, man, come on. Is it the shoes?
Come on, yeah, Spike. You had Bugs.
You had-
it was a lot of different
all of that.
campaigns.
All of the campaign, and then you know the Jordan sneaker at that time looked like nothing else. No other sneaker on. Now, of course, the Jordan 3. If you know a little bit about it, which I'm quite sure you do, but you know your fans out there know about the Revolution and the Air. I mean the Air Revolution itself, and
Right.
of course the Air Revolution had the 3 bottom and you know stuff
Yes,
like that.
yes.
Tinker encompassed a lot of other some other sneakers that to go coincide with that.
Yes.
But as far as the complete silhouette of an Air Jordan, nothing else looked like it. Nothing else had the moniker of Air basketball player, Jordan, anything else behind it.
Well, and you know, not only that, the designs, they were next level. I mean, they were almost like highbrow.
Absolutely.
You know, and athletic.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So Tinker really brought that. A few other designers had
Yeah,
their
he
hands
did.
in with JB
Right.
and everything, but man, just iconic. So what's your favorite one?
My favorite Jordan?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a toss up between. I like the twos too. A lot of people they really just throw shade on the twos. I like twos. I like the OG colorways of the twos.
Okay.
I'm from 2. I would say real strong from 2 to 6. those are my Jordans, man.
Yeah,
I mean, but at 3,
Right.
if I had to pick one of those out of all, it would be the white cement 3s.
Oh, I heard that. Shout out to In Need of Heat, man. That's,
Absolutely.
That's his whole favorite line.
Oh.
That 3 line. Oh, that silhouette is.
That
his
elephant
thing.
print,
Yeah.
and just the cleanliness of that white. When he, you know, he did kind of step over the free throw line. When he jumped on it. But anyway, just
We
to
saw
see,
what the line is
he
on
saw what the
the
line
recent-
was. You know what I mean? But it was just, man, it was so clean.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and the black and cement, you know, I mean, they're dope too, but the white and cement, oh my God, that was real dope.
Well, I mean, you've seen the transition, and I think LeBron's players can go to it, but it's like they go from court to lifestyle now.
Right,
Obviously.
right.
I mean, it's a dress up or dress down.
Right.
You know,
right.
with some of these retro models from JB. So, I mean, commendable.
It is, you know, but for the LeBron line now, I think it's highly focused on the performance side.
I agree with
And
that.
even though with the Jordans from back in the day, they were performance-based sneakers, but
Mm-hmm.
the design of them was so fly that they made the transition from court to off court so easily.
Right.
You know, and of course all the rap, and it was so basic, man. I mean, even from television shows, you know, you would see the Dwayne Wades that had the 4s on in the shows. You would see, of course, you would see them on court playing. You know, Mike would have them on, but you also they transitioned from court to lifestyle so easily. And I just unfortunately for the last couple of models of the LeBrons, I don't necessarily see that transition.
I haven't seen that quite as much either, nor have I seen what you pointed out, which really got my mind thinking is like they haven't had the same type of promotion.
Right. Right.
You know,
they
as-
relied heavily on social media
Of
and
course.
other outlets like that, but they had the campaign behind the Jordan, and it was
Heavy
dope. It wasn't
campaign.
just, you know, look at this shoe, buy this shoe.
Right.
It was some thought put into those commercials
Man,
and
you're
stuff.
saying something.
You know, and then you
That's
had,
a
of
fact.
course, Spike Lee that was so relatable to our community at the time.
Right.
You know, he had to do the right things. He had to, you know, She's Gotta Have It, and those, you know, those movies that they, you know, I mean, in one iconic, of course, everybody knows about the 4s and, you know, Bugging Out when
Yep.
dude stepped on his Jordans and stuff and,
Yes,
and do the right
yes.
thing. That was iconic. It wasn't just about that scene itself, but it was like, look at what he got on in that scene. So that, you know, to have that happen back in the day, I don't necessarily see that as much with the LeBron line and other, you know, new basketball players today of having that type of influence on pop culture as
Right.
well. you
Right.
know.
Man, that's tremendous. That's tremendous. So having said that, so today you're rocking some. These are the Kobe 9 lows,
These are
right?
11.
Oh, these are the 11
Yeah,
lows?
these are 11
Okay, my
lows.
bad.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, you good.
The fly knit, all red. I wish I could put the, you know, we'll post this up on there.
Right. Okay.
But anyways, these obviously stand out.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my next question is, what I like to kind of talk about is, are sneakers like the new statement pieces out there? And I say that because, you know, before it was a Yankee fitted.
Mhm.
You know, they came in a million different colorways.
Right.
Or, you know, for the lady, it was a Coach purse or
Right.
a Louis bag or something like that.
Right.
So I'm seeing a lot of things kind of geared toward, you know, sneakers. Like I was out just recently with the off-white ones on.
Mhm.
I probably got about 4 or 5, you know, compliments or, hey,
Right.
nice shoe.
Right.
They definitely are like kind of at the forefront. What do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. Sneakers have definitely been the staple of your gear, your
Right,
outfit.
right.
You know what I mean? And for myself, you know, I like what has happened with Off-White and a lot of the collaborations that Nike has done with, you know, other designers
Sure,
and sneaker design.
sure.
It's not necessarily my lane, so to speak.
Okay.
I'm more of a traditionalist when it comes to certain sneakers. I was even with these. I was late to the game with Kobe's. And so, but it kind of grew on me, you know what I mean? And I tried them out, and I actually liked them. I took 2, and I really jumped into the Kobe's probably around the 9 or 10. So I was definitely late to the game when it came to that. But as far as sneakers being that statement piece and what everybody goes for, absolutely. It starts in our culture. And when I say our culture, I mean the streetwear, you know, sneaker community and culture, stuff like that. It definitely starts from the feet up,
Right.
you know, and it's because regardless of the outfit that you have on,
Sure.
a lot of times the first things people peep out is your sneakers. You know, like,
Sure.
you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So what do you have on? So it's definitely a statement piece, and you know, and it makes a huge statement with your clothing that you choose to wear. You know, the item or the footwear that you choose to wear and stuff like that. So absolutely.
Certainly. So with your collection, I mean, I know you're not necessarily all about the pizzazz per se. You have nice pairs, we know that. But do you have one thing that kind of beats out the other? Like, is it comfort, or is it how it looks first?
It starts the older I've gotten. It definitely comfort is huge.
Okay.
It makes a huge difference.
Right.
But of course, you have to have something that catches your eye first.
Sure.
But I definitely need that comfort level to be in that sneaker
I
as
respect
well.
that.
You know.
I respect that.
Mhm.
I'm kind of with both, but I've always been flashy,
Right.
and that'll be my lane for life.
Right. Speaking of flashy, I see you. Over
You
there.
know, I'm gonna go to the casket, flashy.
Absolutely.
Words. Shouts to Sneaker Ambassador.
Absolutely. Shout out to Sneaker
He knows.
Ambassador.
So no doubt, man, no doubt. So, give me like a description of like the type of pairs that if I walked in your house and peeped in your closet, what type of brands that I'm gonna see coming in your house.
Oh, okay. You're definitely gonna see a Jordan brand.
Okay.
You're definitely gonna see Nike. You're gonna see Adidas. You're gonna see New Balance. You're gonna see Diadora. You're gonna see Asics. And there are a lot of GR pairs in my because I'm not one to just I love sneakers, man.
Right.
So fly doesn't necessarily have to be told to me by somebody else.
Right.
I like fly that everybody else ain't got.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? So when you put it on your feet, and there's sneakers that people would look over, and I love that.
Mhm.
Like to go in sneaker stores and see shoes for the low, but when I put them on, people like, man, where'd you get those from? Or
Man.
I didn't think about those. Man, they look good. And it's also about the presentation too. Laces got to be straight. You know what I mean? I'm a little OCD when it comes to that thing.
No, I agree with you.
But it's all about the presentation, man. But I have a diverse collection.
Mhm.
I mean, it can be casual pieces, from your filling pieces and stuff like that. All the way, from Bally. I mean, I don't know those brands, but at the same time, I like those. I just have a love for footwear and sneakers itself, man.
So, being that you have such a diverse amount of different pairs in your collection, so out of those brands, I mean, do you feel like any of them have just kind of, I don't know, had to kind of dip down, a little bit in the backdrop, away from the scene a little bit?
Mm-hmm. As far as the one that I have, I would say the one that's possibly taken the most dip, from the recent hype of late would possibly be Adidas.
Why do you think
Adidas, because you remember at one particular time, I see you, but no disrespect to you and those, but of course at one particular time, the Ultra Boosts were very high.
Yeah.
The NMDs were very high.
They were.
And some of the other silhouettes that Adidas had brought back were, and I liked the boots. I got, of course, Ultra Boosts and stuff like that in my collection. But unfortunately, it's almost like they oversaturated themselves. They came out with too many colors.
Really?
And it's like, and unfortunately for where we are in the culture today, availability is not good for certain collectors.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, people don't like to just go, some people, let me say that, don't like to just go in the store and pick up a sneaker and be like, man, I can just walk right in and get this.
Right.
It's got to be some type of story, some type of hype behind it for them to really do it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately with Adidas, they had caught wind, even though I don't think they'll ever be able to outdo Nike when it comes to culture itself. But I think that they should kind of focus more, in which they do over in Europe with some of their runners and stuff like that they do, because they kind of lean toward a lot of their classic runners and stuff like that.
Well, and that's their primary market.
Right. It is.
That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's for sure. So,
Absolutely.
And I definitely get that. I can see what you're saying there with Adidas. Really, myself, I think probably Diadora, Asics, possibly even New Balance, but I won't really go into them. I just think, and I'll just use Diadora for example. They've been heavy with collaborative efforts as of late,
Right.
And there's some nice collaborations. Don't get me wrong.
Excellent
We know the limited editions with
Hannons and
oh my goodness, and the purple tapes,
right?
all those did with Raekwon and everything like that. And I think the 24 Collidis out in Spain, Barcelona.
Right.
So they had that recent one, which was out of this world. But I haven't really seen anything new though. Give me a new model. That's what I'm desiring. Give me a new model that you know, I can do something with.
Right.
You know, I'll bring ASICS out to it. You know, Ronnie had he brought
July
back the
3s.
made in Japan
Right.
pairs recently with the Salmon Soul, with
Mm-hmm.
the Militia pair, and the Super Green.
Right.
And then they gave you that was it the gel
The
whatever.
you
know.
Mia's.
Well, yeah, but
something
it was
like that.
it was a terrible looking pair.
Right.
I mean, it really is just a gel i3 with a different midsole
Right.
and outsole.
Right.
It's terrible.
Right.
But give me something different.
Right.
You know, we know the materials that they use,
Mhm.
right? But give me something different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think they've kind of just fallen back a little
Tapered a
bit.
little bit.
Right, because your collaborations, they'll keep you noticed, but it's not giving me anything new.
Right, you know, and with me coming from, like I said, coming from an Atlanta type of perspective, and knowing,
Right.
you know, of course, the lane that I kind of, you know, come from, those particular brands, the Asics and the Diodors and stuff, they didn't necessarily catch traction as much throughout the city, so to speak. You would see sneakerheads
Sure.
that had those collaborations that were really kind of garnering and on those type of sneakers, which myself, I really liked them. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my hands on a pair,
No.
but it doesn't mean that I don't like the brand.
Right.
I like the silhouettes that they chose for those type of collaborations. The N9000, I got a couple of N9000s myself in
And
my
they're
collection.
comfortable.
Comfortable.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I
Yes.
love them, bro.
Yes.
And unfortunately, man, of course they're so they're heavily, you know, European based. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? So it's
True.
kind of hard for them to catch wind. Of course, we'd like to see a lot more designs and collaborations from them.
Mhm.
You know, because Ronnie was killing it with the Gel Light 3s at one particular time.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
man. I mean, back with the Data Z era.
they was
you know,
exactly,
yeah, man.
exactly.
So some killer pairs, of course, you know, very rare at this point because you're not going to be able to find
You're
them,
not
at least
gonna
for a
find them.
reasonable price.
Absolutely.
You know, even after like the ASICS 25th anniversary, you
Mhm.
know, pieces, you know, I don't think they get enough love. You know, people, you know, they quick to say something about them, but if you really look at them and have them in hand,
Mhm.
you can see like the material options and that sort of thing. These were some well thought through pieces.
Oh, absolutely.
But aside from that, you just put out a regular Gel Light 3 next month, and it just
It
it's
fizzles.
blah.
Exactly.
You know, it's blah.
exactly.
You know, I don't know if I want to pay over $100 for a blah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Let me-
and it just stops.
Let me ask you this though: would they be able to really sell those pairs to people outside of the actual sneaker community?
You know,
Because I mean, you and I
you're
would
bringing
love them.
you're bringing me to a subject that I'm kind of gotten opinionated about,
Mhm.
and you know, it's like Nike and JB, they do a lot of seeding
Right.
with influencers,
Right. Right.
Okay, and they could do it like that,
Mhm.
but what does that do?
Right.
That creates more hype,
It creates more hype. Right.
more demand,
Right.
more issues for somebody who's passionate about the sneaker to get their hands on it,
Right.
or at least get their hands on it for retail,
Right. Right.
So we've all kind of been down that road, but I think it's doable if they want that steam, that traction. Honestly, there might be the route that they have
The
to
route
take.
that they have to take. Right. The other question would be too: is that the direction in which they're trying to go?
See,
You know,
that's a very good
do
question.
they really want their brands to be in the same lane? I'm quite sure, of course, sales, they would love to have it.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
but it seems
Very-
as though
very thoughtful.
they've been around for quite some time, and they've had reintroductions to certain models. Gel Light 3s kind of, you know, they fizzled out, you know, early 2000s. Well, I mean prior to, but I mean as of late, you know, of course, when Ronnie got with them and started doing the collaboration with that particular model, they kind of started to gain the hype again.
Yes, they did.
And unfortunately for me, I just, you know, maybe I just wasn't looking in the right places or whatever case may be, but I would have loved to have those models back then, but of course they just wasn't on my radar. So
Right.
of course that does go back to what you were saying: is are they getting their brand out to the right people
Right.
to have that type of
Right,
influence?
right. And you know, social media, that's all it is, just a big advertising
Right.
platform.
Right.
We all know that.
Absolutely.
But if it's a very good question.
Mhm.
I don't have an answer for that.
Right.
But, you know, I say if they did want, you know, to get the traction back and get it going again, I don't think they have any other option.
They don't
to
have
do
another
that.
option, right. But I kind of, me personally, I kind of like the fact that they're sort of, you know, smaller you know, as far as their footprint in the footwear industry.
It's very niche runner.
It is, and because it allows for them to focus more so on the quality of the sneakers. If you look at a lot of the quality of the Sauconys, the New Balance, the Asics, the Diadoras and stuff, I think the quality of those particular brands are a little higher than the Jordan brands, the Nikes at times, because the smaller numbers allow for them to focus a little bit more so on the quality of the brand, you know. And they don't have to mass produce so many to where they kind of lose focus on the quality and craftsmanship of the shoe.
Because you're paying a premium for JB.
Absolutely.
Glue stains
there should
all
not
over.
be glue stains. Some of the flaws. As a matter of fact, one of the worst pairs in my collection is the 2012 Jordan Bred 4s.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man! It was just the quality on that sneaker was horrible, man.
Yeah.
It was bad. So I of course I was excited when Jordan Brand reintroduced, had the remaster line come out and stuff like that, and I was hoping that, of course, okay, they're going to give us the quality for the amount of bread that we're paying for these sneakers. And it
was hit and miss.
It was hit and miss, exactly.
Hit and miss, and one thing that I favored from that, since you kind of touched on that, was that Pinnacle line.
Right.
Okay, especially the ones. Now they were hitting for 400.
Right.
I'm not buying, and I don't want to say one of these brands that have been in the media recently
right.
under fire, but it's not one of those type of. It's not a Balenciaga.
Absolutely.
One of those type.
Right.
Even I wouldn't pay it for that either, but $400 for Air Jordan 1.
Sure.
I mean, they had nice material, but
$400. They should have nice material.
They should have nice.
That should be the expectation from us sneaker buyers and and collectors and stuff like that. It should be the expectation.
They ended up in outlets.
Exactly.
$200.
$200, and so they're losing the $200 that they initially had them at retail for.
Right.
But I just think that the quality level should be higher. On and they've done some things to kind of step up. What they've been giving us lately, man. I mean, just like if the recent release of the 6. Everybody's complaining about the infrared color on it and stuff like that. And actually, the quality of the materials is a lot better. I have the 14s and the 19s that just released. And the 19s, in my opinion, are a lot better. There's still some things that they could have done better.
See, the 6 is my shoe. That's my sneaker, right? And, anything black and red on the 6 is, for me, I absolutely love. That 14, I bought it, and then I let it go. It was... The color was just too much.
It was too right.
It was too much for me. I like this year's version. The release that just came out. I like it a lot, but my favorite will always be the Varsity Red. It was something about that suede that's on that shoe. I just think I hold it to a higher level than all the rest. But that infrared is major.
Right.
I don't know why they can't duplicate colors though. I don't know why. I mean, you got major paint corporations, and I don't want to go down that road that match colors every single day. So
Absolutely.
you're telling me Nike can't do it?
Right. I think it's Nike's way of keeping us coming back.
Well, that's what it is. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to even our viewers, but I just think that they think that we're mindless drones and we'll just go out and buy whatever.
Right. I mean, and I think in the beginning of the hype again for Jordans around 2010, 2011 and stuff like that, I don't think that they were thinking that we were as focused as we are as consumers. I think that they were thinking that we're just it's just a sneaker community and a bunch of kids as far as them putting out a product and people are going to buy it regardless. But of course they found out that we're a hell of a lot smarter than what they were willing to give us credit for.
And that's what I want us to be, smart consumers.
Absolutely.
Smart consumers. If I don't say anything else, be smart. Be a smart consumer.
Absolutely.
Spend your money wisely. But yeah, man. So listen, bro, I'm so glad that you came through.
I appreciate you
chopped it up with me,
appreciate
man. It's been a while.
Absolutely.
Sneaker Friends downtown in Atlanta.
Shout out
was that 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, that's about 3-4 years ago.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow, where does the time go?
It zoomed by, man, but I was able to, link up through another good friend of ours.
Yes.
He linked us up, man.
Sneaker
and gave us absolute shout out Sneaker Ambassador again.
What's up?
Absolutely. And, he allowed for us to come together, man, and here we are today.
That's right. Here we are, man. So Demetrius Brown, a.k.a. ATL Kicks, been doing this thing for a minute. He'll continue to do his thing. I wish you all the best, bro.
Hey,
Thank
man,
you for coming
appreciate
through.
that too, sir.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right,
Good
man.
luck, man.
All right, next
All right.
time, we'll holler at y'all.
Peace.